Hi there, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my avatar grove, my Thuja occidentalis forest. I gave this forest quite a pruning in spring. I'll show you what that looked like. I'm going to go back now to part 1 of this series, and you can see what the forest looked like before I began the work on it and what it looks like now. Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my avatar grove. I've got the cedar forest in the sun now. Oh, it looks really nice with the sunshine on it. Looks very miniature. So now you can see the forest is grown in nice and lush and it needs pruning. The canopies on the trees have grown so much that it just looks like one big hedge instead of individual trees. So I've got to make the trees more compact so you can see the form, the conical type form of each tree. The largest tree in the middle here is styled to look like a cathedral tree, an old growth cedar tree. So it has all the upright branches, and eventually the crown up here will be deadwood, so the only living parts will be the cathedral branches that grow up beside the apex. The moss on the forest floor is growing in really thick. It's starting to grow all around the root base on most of the trees, so I've got to clean that all up. It's even growing over top of a lot of the stones and the branches, the deadfall in the forest. So I've got to do a lot of pruning and work on the landscape. I'm going to use some of the new rocks I got. Here's a look at some of the new rocks I got. So there's all kinds of sizes and shapes there that I'm hoping I can integrate in with this avatar grove landscape. I'm going to start today by working on all these smaller trees that are surrounding the main cathedral tree, getting them pruned to a tight conical shape. When I'm pruning, I've also got to keep in mind the overall profile of the forest. I want it sort of that asymmetrical triangular shape. It's kind of getting a little too rounded at the sides here, so I've got to tighten that up. I'll place the forest on the turntable so I can spin it around. So here I go. Make sure it's on centered. That looks good. I'm going to start on this left-hand side, getting these trees pruned up. You can see this one's interfering with the cathedral tree. This one's interfering with it. So I'm just going to get this side pruned up first. So here I go. So I'll start with the apex here. Pruning it back there. Just scissor pruning it for now, and then I can come back and pinch all the growing tips to make it even more compact later on. There's a big branch out the back here. That's got to be removed entirely. Yeah. That. This one's okay, just needs reducing back. Ducks. I'll work on this tree next. Well, it's kind of growing up tall here. This branch here is long, and then there's a new shoot underneath it that I could replace that branch with, so I'm going to take that thicker branch right off, like that. If you can replace a thicker branch with a thinner one near the apex, it's always a good idea, because branches just continue to thicken up. I'll continue pruning up the trees. I've got hundreds of decisions to make on these trees, and I think it'll take several hours. If I have any interesting decisions to make, I'll show you. Otherwise, I'll just keep pruning away, getting the trees all nice and tight in that conical form. Smells so nice when you're pruning these trees. These seedlings at the back are growing really well. It's amazing, you know, they start off as little tiny seeds and now they're growing into nice trees at the back of this planting, adding many layers of depth to the forest. So I got trees out front, right back to the small trees behind here. So it gives a lot of depth to the forest. So many decisions to make. What branches to keep, what ones to prune. But you've just got to keep in mind, you know, the structure of the full-size tree as you see it in nature, and try and do your branch selection based on what grows in nature, how the tree grows in nature. Long ago, when this main tree was in the front garden, I used to just prune it to a triangular form with the hedge pruners. Just the manual clippers. I used to just kind of prune it to a triangle. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I'm pruning off a lot of hanging branches. I don't mind if the branch droops, but when it's kind of hanging straight down for a distance, it doesn't look very natural. It doesn't fit in with the cedar theme, so I prune those ones off. There's one here, I don't know if you can see it, but it hangs straight down. That one can get pruned off. Another one here. I'm starting to open up a lot of space on this side of the forest. You can see the trees more easily now, more light getting down to the forest floor. I like how this branch overlaps this trunk here. It looks really nice from the front. Gives more depth to the forest, rather than all your sticks in a row without any, overlapping. The mushroom in here looks really nice. I'll show you that. Here's a look at the mushroom in there. Okay, let's keep going. Making good progress. Some good stuff happening with the forest. There's a trunk in here I pruned off long ago. I'm going to clean that stub up. The stub's located way back in here, so I've got to get in there and clean that up. Okay, here I go. If I can get in here, I'll just nibble away at it. Looking better. Might have to create a bit of deadwood down the side here. That looks reasonable. At least it looks more natural than it did. I think I'll leave it like that. I find it really helps to kind of get above the tree, and then you can kind of prune the branches back to that conical form a little easier when you're viewing it from above. These Thuja trees can really grow fast when the conditions are right. Starting to get this tree pruned back to a conical shape. It was really overgrown, this one right here. Here's a nice view of the mushroom in here. So I'm just doing a little pinching now, kind of refining the trees, getting them more compact. I'm making good progress on the forest, getting the trees nice and slim and conical. A lot of pruning, a lot of decisions, but slowly it's getting there. So I've only done, 1, 2, 3, 4, starting on my 5th tree here. So a lot of trees to go. But it's fun, I enjoy doing this. Especially when you see how it opens the forest up, it looks much more miniature. I'm reducing the height of the trees on this side of the forest planting. They were getting a little too tall and I was losing that asymmetrical triangle silhouette. So I've already taken the top off this one, which was right here. Big cut. And now I'm going to do the same with this one out front here, taking the top off. All right, so I'm taking the top off and this will be the new leader out front. So it's not that thick a branch. So I'm coming in here with my pruners. And here I go. Like that, taking the top off the tree. That reduces it back quite far. Looks much better, I think, too. That's coming down quite a bit. This forest is really getting cleaned out now. You can see all the individual trunks in the forest. It's looking much nicer. This one tree in here is very floppy. I don't know what's going on with the root system on it. I don't know what happened to the root system on this tree. All the others are firm in the pot except for this one. I'm wondering if it got eaten away or something. Just peeling back the moss to have a look at it. Definitely not a lot of root on it. You can kind of see it there. I'm not sure what happened to that tree. It looks healthy, but not a lot of roots. Looks like they rotted or something. Maybe part of them died over the winter. Is possible. I mean, there's living veins, but it's just not firmly in there. So I may have to put a rock against it to kind of straighten it up. And hopefully those roots will grow and it'll take hold of the soil. Yeah, I think I'm going to take this branch off here, which kind of helps form the apex. So here I go. Quite a bit off the top there. I finished roughly pruning all the trees. I haven't touched the main tree yet, the Cathedral style one. I'll see how the time goes tonight. It's getting late. This did take me, I would say, 3 hours, I think. So there's how much I took off. You know, a lot of foliage. Yeah, a lot of branches. Had good vigor, the forest, which is always good. So here's a look. There's the main tree. Yeah, it's much more open. You can see all the individual trees now. Now I will have to do some straightening up of the trees. I may be able to place rocks beside them to kind of straighten them a bit. Some of them are pretty good, but there's some that are quite crooked. And I don't mind the crooked trees, it's just if you want a mature looking forest, all the trees tend to go straight up. You don't get crooked trees in an old growth forest. And you know, these trees surrounding the main tree are still very young. They're just basically saplings that have matured a bit. So they have a long way to go before they'll look like an old growth forest. But keep working at it. The forest is still young. I finished working on the forest for tonight. I'm going to go back tomorrow and prune up the main tree and then start the landscape work. That's it for part 1 of this series. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.